And I like to teach with the broad perspective of awakening and growing in wholeness and love. In recognition of that's what it seems to be going on here in life. And we often have targets. I want to realize consciousness. I want to awaken in an embodied way. I want to be whole, feel like I'm awakening in whole beingness. And there are punctuation points or transitions that are really worth respecting. However, we often ignore what it's like to be alive and the nature of life coming to us and what we move through, both in challenges and enjoyment. And as we find ways to respect and recognize ourselves and others, that this is actually a difficult life to find ourselves in the dimension of bodily challenges and social challenges and world challenges, it's in settling into our nature, we actually find there's more spaciousness. And in finding more spaciousness, we find more divinity. The divinity of that which arises as everything. And how surprising that we don't have to go for it, we can actually kind of open up to it as our nature. And that's why I love this work, is that we're supporting people to investigate life as they are in a way that through our own individuality and our own life circumstances gives us a connection with everything and a recognition of that essence of life arising as us, and it's them, it's the universe. It may still seem like a confusing place, why there's suffering here, or challenges in my life, or in some other part of the world. But people start to feel the essence of life. There's certain trust that we don't know better, and there's something worth being alive and feeling that life in us and in other people. And this approach is called Waking Down in Mutuality, and I feel really great being able to work within it, because it's not about helping people to learn a teaching to be in a certain way. It's actually discovering this divinely human nature within each of us and living it. And living it in an autonomous way that we keep discovering life and life's truths in our own awakened whole nature. And that's both really lovely and it can be really fun. It's like life then becomes an unfolding adventure or beauty or discovery. And I find that I do that in meeting people, particularly in teaching situations, because we're all kind of being a little more open about exploring what it's like to be alive. And that serves my end goal, ongoing unfoldment too. This view of awakening and growing and integrating in wholeness and love is a view to seeing life as supporting our growth, our evolution, our unfoldment. And that's what I seem to have discovered for myself, and so it starts to be something that I like to share with others. That the Waking Down in Mutuality work seems to support us to cooperate with what life wants for us anyways. And I know that life can throw some horrible, horrible experiences our way. And it's pretty hard to explain those away. We can't really do that. But somehow when we come through them, we see how they've formed us, and that's the way life is emerging and unfolding for us. And we might feel that was wrong, but at the same time it doesn't feel wrong that we should be alive and that we should be who seems to be unfolding and perhaps even formed by that which challenged us. And when we just allow ourselves to discover what's going on now, whatever now, now when we talk, now in your life, we find that the things that are pressures and discomforts become places that we can bring our attention to in a way that they seem to unfold us, seem to grow us, and seem to give us room to deepen. That's what I found in this book, and that's what transformed me. And seems to be speaking to others in a way that they're finding themselves shifting into wholeness. And we don't actually know how to do that for any person. Every person's unique. Nobody knows how to do a person's life in the way that's going to bring them greatest wholeness. And yet we've learned some principles through our experience, and particularly through Samuel's original discrimination of what's going on, that we can support each other, giving an angle of view that helps us cooperate with life that's arising in us in uncomfortable or exciting ways, whatever. And find that instead of trying to manage life and get out of life or get over life, we start coming into life and as life. And in doing that, we find that a greater richness of lifeness arising. And it's counterintuitive to our nature when we're trying to overcome the really horrible or hard things we've been in. And it's also counterintuitive to the feeling that, geez, this always feels like I'm never enough, or there's something wrong in me, or I'm unsettled, and I need to kind of fix it or grow, or if I am successful or educated or in love, then I'll be okay. That impulse is so strong in our nature, and what we're talking about and embodying with awareness feels counterintuitive until we start to just notice that perhaps we can't get out of here, that perhaps this is inevitable, and that there's something about life that is our nature and the nature of everyone. And when we're freed enough just to notice that, sometimes through real hard experiences that just push us in that direction, sometimes just by we start to notice, or we open up and have more room in our awareness. And when that's possible, then we can just provide angles of view to have more awareness that allows more cooperation. And cooperation doesn't actually mean much. It means that bringing awareness that allows for life to be moving gives us more spaciousness to honor ourselves and to make choices that feel like life itself wanting to move in a certain direction. And we begin to find that we're part of a flow of life that appears to be growing in more wholeness. And when we've made a shift in which we know that wholeness is our fundamental nature, contrary to the teachings which felt like awakening into something would bring us freedom, it actually brings us into the capacity to shine a light on more dimensions of our humanness and make peace with those too. And so the integration process of the wholeness that we may have shifted into realizing is a priceless dimension of increasingly bringing wholeness, the living experience, knowingness of wholeness into every piece of our life. And so that doesn't mean devoid of our humanness. I stub my toe, it still hurts. You know, somebody hurts my feelings, and I still have feelings. And sometimes I've got a wounded place from long ago, and I feel hurt or angry. But it's no longer happening outside of life. It is life as I've become self-aware within my own nature and each person's own nature. And so we get to be the juice of life, which includes joys and sorrows and growth, and the ability to hear and see others and feel the connection with each other. That that actually is the experience of our wholeness, that's inclusive of actually others and the world. Inclusive not in a way that manages or controls, but in a way that recognizes that which arises, life which arises as us is arising as others. And we may have known it before, but now it becomes more self-evident that we're all in the same field. It's arising. So this so-called work isn't really a work, it's a tuning into the growth and allowing of the growth that goes on. And we have some ways to recognize it and support people trying out ways to be with themselves. And we have the hearing and holding of each other. And in this work there appears to be an X factor, which seems to be the transmission of that awakened nature that occurs spontaneously when we are opening to finding our own ground of wholeness. It feels valuable to be in the presence of others who are doing that too, and those who perhaps have already shifted and integrated. There's a way that we can open in a connection that feels a resonance, and unconsciously, really, our own nature starts to feel the ease and the capacity of being that too. And so it's one of the reasons, I think, why my transformation occurred when I'd been trying so hard.